few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns with a lot of fans going. So I don't know, give me some feedback on how loud these fans all are. The loudest one I think is pretty far away. All right. I'm getting double corked. So I'm getting double corked out there. It's typical. A lot of times when there's excellence, people will surround the excellence to try to scab off of it, suck off of it. So that's probably what they're trying to do, is suck off of the excellence. I'm used to that. So let's see, we got our smile out there. We got some dude out there and our smile again. So wherever the hell this person is, 6% humidity. What is it here? 6% humidity. Oh, you're saying I got 6% humidity. It's 76 with 91% there. This 6% is pretty cool. It feels like it's raining with 6%. Like you can tell that 6% is in there because it's coming. There's rain coming, but there's a giant fire. So the rain is probably coming down. You know, let's say the rain is at, I don't know, 70,000 feet, and then it comes down. And then somewhere around 9,000 feet, the fire burns the rain into clouds, and then it goes back up again. So that's what's happening. I guess I'll put a link out here. Trying to effectively herd cats. I am attempting to do two 2A patch batches at the same time. A real one, and then the little gun channels fake one. The secondary one, the one that's standing adjacent to the big one. And I'm not really going to run either one of them, right? I'm just trying to offer a resource to these organizations and individuals so that they can try something that they haven't tried before and have a resource that they can use, right, to do things with. And an opportunity for these people to work together. Thing is, you ever heard of this thing? It's sort of like if you had a bunch of horses and then you lead it underwater. That's pretty much where I'm at. So I stayed up today in order to check up on emails. So I got up, or I stayed up, didn't go to sleep, and then, so it's hot or whatever. And then I sent a bunch of emails, and then now I'm sitting here being, tired with no replies to any of my emails, really. I'm going to go check again. Actually, I got my emails open right here. Yeah, so that's super annoying. And other people are probably doing stuff or not using emails. But anyway, so I'm going to be on it a lot. Getting corked by Clover and Honda. Yeah, as they say. Well, the thing is, it takes two other channels to cork this one superior better channel and show. So that's a lot to do with the people that watch these shows. A lot of times, the children, the left-handed people, the 9mm shooters, they got to go somewhere. So all those people don't listen to me. They don't listen. The left-handed people never listen to this show. So we're pretty much focused on right-handed things. And then children, it's too late for them. They shouldn't be up. So I guess if a child was in a coma and they were trying to get the child out of the coma. Let's see. So Crump's over here copying off of me also. He says for the next 2 weeks, I'll have exclusively DC Project women on. Yeah, well, there you go. So copying off of me. That's fine. I've had DC Project women on. And now you're copying off of it. You'll probably do it at the same time as this show, too. But that's right. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I like that idea. Are you going to try to have them all on? That would be pretty cool. Felt pretty good here in Louisville. Kentucky, the high was 80 with pretty low humidity, currently 65. I could handle some 65. Apparently it's 90, but it's not 90 in here. Let's go see what it is in here. It's 88 inside the house, but it's like stuffy and shitty. Like it's technically 2 degrees cooler outside, I guess, but it's like stuffy and shitty in here from me breathing in here and the dog breathing in here. She breathes all day long, no matter what. And then we got barbecue in here. Well,
good evening.
So we throw the link out there if anybody wants to jump in. Unlike the other chats that are scared, like they won't put a link out because number one, they don't want you in their chat, right? They don't care about you or the conversation or whatever. They just want your views, your money, basically. If they could have it, I'm just speaking for every other gun chat that's not happening right now. If they could just have your wallet watch their show and do like an infomercial, that's what they're urging your wallet to do. I don't know. We're not doing that here. We worry about your freedom, your children's freedom. That's what we worry about on this show. Let's see. So we got 7 people watching. That's a good number. See if any conversation happens. I am tired, so I'm not saying it's going to end quick, but if we don't have a lot of conversation, it'll end quick. And I just went outside, and the fire is still going. So I'm going to go over now since nobody's saying anything, and well, nobody's saying anything. I'm going to go see how big the fire is now. Tucson.
So going back to you getting corked by 2 people, I think that's why Liberty Doll had all her technical issues last night when she was trying to cork you. She was just doing it alone.
Yeah, and then girl. So that's the thing. And then trying to do it, quickly. Like, oh crap, I got to hork off of that dude's views or whatever. Like, oh man, I need to quickly run over here. So she didn't have time to set it all up. That'll happen.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out she's left-handed or something. I have an uncle that's left-handed, and it shows.
A lot of people don't realize that in this country, it's legal. Like, you can be left-handed. Do everything a regular person can do. Except, do things right-handed. Yeah, I have no idea. You might want to tell me how big the fire is.
I'm actually worried my son's going to end up left-handed. He's been doing a lot of stuff with his left hand recently, and I'm like, no, we're going to have to correct that, bud.
One subtle way to do it is to give them a glove with their correct hand and then a mitten on the left hand, right? So that's not like you're hobbling. It's not like abuse or nothing. It's just subtly like this hand's better. It can do better things than that hand.
I thought about going with like that Catholic school method where they just slap you in the hand with a ruler or something. I mean, I never went to Catholic school, but that's what I heard they do. So I thought that would be fun.
Like every time you reach over to grab something with the left hand. I don't know. It won't tell me how big the fire is. It must be bigger. May 20th. I'm like, how can that be the 20th? Let's see. Y'all just wish you could left hand. Left hand's where it's at. Actually, I didn't even care because I think at some point when I was a kid, I decided that nobody's going to tell me what handed I'm going to be. So I just started doing stuff left-handed also, even if it isn't the one that you just, if somebody throws something at you and you catch it, that's supposed to be your handedness or whatever. If like, right, somebody gives you a hammer and you start to hammer with it, it's whatever hand you start doing stuff with, that's what you're handed. But I was like, well, what happens if you get your arm chopped off? Then what, you're going to have to start over? Like, if you're going to be learning stuff, you might as well learn it both ways right away, right? So try to do everything with both hands. Yeah.
When I was 16, I had surgery on my right shoulder, and I couldn't use my right arm or anything for 6 weeks. And after that, I became mildly ambidextrous.
That's too bad. But yeah, exactly. Plus, it wigs people out when you do stuff left-handed. So I know left-handed people, they act like they're persecuted all the time, but they secretly love it. They are wigging people out, and they know it.
Worst thing is when you go to a restaurant, you have to sit next to the left-handed person, so you're bumping elbows.
Oh yeah. No, I have to deal with that. I can't even think now. See, that's why I have such awareness. I'm woke to the left-handeds because I've got a billion left-handed people around here. Like every other person's left-handed. Must be something in the water. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. The thing is, most of those people, right? They know how to live around regular people, so they'll take themselves to the part of the table where there should be, like over to the left side of the table, right? So they can be awkward and do things wrong over there. But no, I think and then it comes up because normally, like I say, they'll just go do their thing and live life acting like a regular person. But then occasionally, like you'll get crammed into like a roller coaster, a taxi, or I guess an Uber nowadays, or something weird where you're not used to it, and they're not used to it because they're used to, living like a regular person. So then when it gets compounded, or like say you're in a small place, that's where it ends up being like, oh shit, I forgot this guy's left-handed. See, but I'm sure that you've got that like down, right? It's like coordinated. You just don't even think about it. Like I can think of, and it's I don't like to talk about, but there's people on the gun website shooting team that are left-handed. So, like I say, they make it so that the rest of us don't have to think of it. They just always go ditch over to the left side or whatever, so that's not a problem most of the time.
Yeah, like I said, that's only if they're being polite, though. I've got
That's true.
probably 4 family members that I can think of right off the top of my head that are left-handed. I think it's a birth defect, honestly, but
Well, I don't know if it's learned or nurtured, but a lot of times, like a mom is left-handed or a dad is left-handed. The kids they learn from watching the parents,
I don't know. I say because my uncle's left-handed, and every one of his kids ended up being right-handed. But then again, I guess they could have been paying attention to their mom more.
But also when you go to school, I'm pretty sure school doesn't like tolerate the lefts very often. Like they'll accommodate them. Or probably nowadays it's different. When I was in school, you had to be like pretty insistent to be left-handed. They'd pretty much do what you were saying. Like they'd do whatever they could to make you get over that or whatever. I don't know if they just figured it's not that big a deal. Like you're gonna figure it, just because like anybody can be ambidextrous if you try hard enough. So they probably just figure instead of being what's comfortable or easy or normal for you or whatever, quote unquote normal for you, just get along. Like just do this because you might as well. And you know what I mean? Maybe they take those left-handed people aside and tell them like, hey, you're gonna have to live in a world with all these other people, so just deal with it. Like act like them and they'll leave you alone.
Always like
if there's a
what's up?
I was just saying if there's like a lefted teacher, then they probably teach their lefted students differently than the rest of us.
I always like watching the teachers that were left-handed have to write funny on the chalkboard because as they were writing, they'd smear all the stuff that they were writing away.
Yeah. Well, I never had to deal with that because I lived in a neighborhood where that wouldn't be tolerated. But I've seen TV shows and stuff where that's happened. Or like in a notebook or whatever, because they get discriminated on pretty much everything you have to write. Except for, I guess, keyboards. Are keyboards somehow discriminatory? They probably are too, but pretty much every kind of writing thing is like left-handed people weren't included when they made that. When they made
They even get their own scissors.
They have their own scissors because you can't cut with regular scissors wrong. Like it works wrong. I wonder if that's one of them things that's been around forever. I never really paid attention to it, but is that one of the things like they can tell from the caveman days that there's been left-handed people, or is that like a new thing, like after radiation or like after some mustard gas or something? Now left-handed people exist.
Do you think that happened from Europeans breeding with Neanderthals, and we ended up both left-handed people because of the Neanderthals?
There might have been like a third hand, and then they all had to choose one or the other, and they only went down to 2. I have no idea. I never really spent this much time talking about it.
Yeah, I know. left-handed? Do you know by chance? I say because the whole Neanderthal thing. I remember a chat that he had a few nights ago. He had mentioned that he was always told he's got a lot of Neanderthal genes or something in him. That'd be
Who?
kind of interesting if he is left-handed.
Who?
Yankee.
Oh, I don't think he's left.
I wasn't sure.
He wears his gun on his right side whenever he goes to grab his gun.
Yeah.
Grabbing it on the right side.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Now, everybody I know that's left-handed, their parents are regular-handed. So it's just some sort of a thing like, what, eyes or something? Or having, like, earlobes, I think. There's, like, a couple of different things that'll just happen out of nowhere, right? Like every so many permeations of genes or something that happens.
It's like gingers.
Probably more than that, though. Because that you have to be from that area or have those genes in you, right? Like, left-handed is like, I think that's more.
I don't know. I say
there's no. I'm not aware of any. There's no. What's the word? Like there's no race that doesn't have left-handed people, right? Like even there's a left-handed albinos probably. I don't know. Is there?
I know the redhead gene is a recessive, and if both parents carry it, there's a 1 in 4 chance of the child being born with red hair. So, but again, let's say I thought I heard Asians don't like carry it at all. So, and obviously there's left-handed Asian people.
Stupid Google, when I typed in it's a left-handed albino, it's put in is there redheaded albinos? Like, how bad do you think I spell? Lesbian left-handed albino midget Eskimo.
That sounds like a search for a different site. My goodness.
That sounds like the lyrics to a song, but I think this is actually something else. Let's go find out what this is. Oh, no, it's an actual thing. Lesbian left-handed albino midget Eskimo student union. It's probably a, what do you call it? Onion or something like that. I'm just trying to think because albinos are a thing like left-handed or right or like the. I'm trying to think what else you got. Like you can roll your tongue or not. I'm wondering if left-handed is a thing that some of these things they don't happen or maybe they happen more often. But I don't even remember the last time I seen an albino person. I don't think that happens right now.
And Chris Fulmer, absolutely, I'm definitely calling you a defect and say that whole left-handed thing, it's a hindrance for you, bud. I had a brother that was left-handed. Like I said, I got a uncle, cousin, another cousin. Then my one cousin married a left-handed guy. I was like, why would you do that?
Well, a lot of times there's tax breaks. Maybe like better housing opportunities or something. You can use different kind of shelving and doors. Like a lot of times doors that are useless for regular people. Like, oh, well, I could use that door. According to the internet, which is Wikipedia, it says about 90% of the world's population is right-handed. So most common articles are designed for right-handed people. Amazing. Oh, here we go. Rise and acceptance of left-handedness. On March 1971, that's when you people started to be able to be okay. In March of 1971, it sounds like. The daily cities reported that left-handed people are becoming increasingly accepted and enabled to find their right or left place in the world.
So we actually had the success of the civil rights movement before left-handed people figured out that they could band together and, do things for themselves.
I think they had to just get by until like the Simpsons, since they started making stores for left-handed people. But yeah, they probably just sucked it up and did everything right-handed forever. I'm wondering if they've been around forever or if it's a new thing. Oh, what the hell? That thing fell over. I hate when you drop a round magnet because you're never going to find it again. At least I'm never going to find it again. There's too much metal here. It'll bounce off and then get stuck to something. You'll never see it again. Holy crap. Did you know that kitchen knives can be left-handed or right-handed?
Yeah, I actually heard that, but I'm kind of curious where the hell you find a left-handed kitchen knife.
Well, just at the store. It just has to do with which side they ground the grind on. But,
yeah.
Probably nice kitchen store, nice restaurant supply. Well, look at this. There's a U.S. Navy SEAL that's left-handed, according to the internet. So there you go.
He's like Superman.
Well, probably for like when they go to countries where that's a thing, and they need like you got somebody who can act like they're left-handed. That's one thing. Oh, somebody is left-handed. That's legit. Looks like there's musical instruments. Nope, there's not very many. Let's see. There was a left-handed camera at one point. Sense that cameras are pretty much right-handed. You're screwed if you're a camera person. And then computer input devices, that's true too. You're pretty much screwed if you're left-handed with a mouse, I guess, huh?
You ever see a left-handed person try and shoot a bolt-action rifle? Now, I realize they make left-handed bolt-action rifles, but all the lefties I know won't take the time to try and find one. Plus, a lot of the ones that I've heard about are a couple $100 more than the regular model. So a lot of them, they're like, I'm not spending that extra money. So watching them try and run a bolt is kind of entertaining.
Well, I guess it just depends on how proficient they are. But a lefty on an AR-15 it's more ergonomic for a left-handed person if they're able to deal with, like, you know what I mean? If they don't go crazy and try to put a bunch of ambidextrous stuff on there, it's better for left-handed. Like the safety and everything, it's just easier to manipulate by keeping your left hand on the gun all the damn time.
Yeah, I've actually thought about
that. We take our it's more natural for us to take our other hand off. So anyway, I think it depends on the proficiency for sure. And then like a revolver and reloading a revolver when you're left-handed, like that's not necessarily a disadvantage. Just kind of depends on the shooter, I guess. I'm super distracted. I've got a set of these, like basically BBs that are magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out been figuring out little things to squish and do stuff. I don't know if you ever played with these things before. You get a big pile of them or a big stack of them, or whatever you would call it. They're just a bunch of BBs that are magnetic, so they all stick together.
Are they those things that they call like snake eggs or something like that?
Well, no. Snake eggs is usually just a paper clip and a washer and a rubber band and an envelope. That's what I'm thinking of. This is just BBs. You can get them in different sizes, from ball bearings down to smaller than BBs, really. You can get them in discs and cubes and other shapes too, but I'm playing with the round ones, those spheres. And they're little. They're smaller than a pea. They're a little bit bigger than a BB. But you can pull them out like this into a string, and then they're just like a ball chain necklace, like for dog tags or something, because they just stick to each other. With a little bit of force, they'll pull apart, of course. They're just magnets. But if you don't try pulling them apart, they just all stick to each other. But then when you take the string and let it collapse in on itself, it can turn into little triangles or pyramids or cubes, or I guess you can just smash it into a big mess, like a big wad, like a pile of grapes or something. Anyway, super fun to just make a little geometric pattern and then smush it, and then make another one and smush it.
How hard is it to find the matching poles on that so they try and repel, being as they're round? You
When they're
can't.
round, they just move. So when you get the kinds that are different shapes, then it's more of an issue. Like the little squares, little cubes, they can, you'll have to every once in a while flip them over. But the thing is, they're so little, they'll just do that. The magnetic, whatever, waves are stronger than their gravity, so they'll just flip most of the time. You can make them not do it, of course, but it's actually it's different than Legos and it's different than an erector set, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have been better off with these things as a kid or worse off, but I would have certainly had a billion of these things if I was a kid. I don't have enough now, and I have half a billion. Huh?
I said they sound like a blast.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. The only thing bad about them at all is if you swallowed one every 30 minutes, that would be bad for you because they would start to magnetize to you inside of you and pinch things and be weird. But that'd be like the only thing I could think of that'd be like bad with these. Otherwise, they're awesome. I've got a couple that are strong enough that like the webbing between your thumb or your fingers or whatever, you can stick it. Let me see if I can do it to these. You can stick it on both sides of your skin and it'll, it's strong enough to stick between there. Like it looks like you got a pierced thumb. Yeah, this one's even strong enough. It's not strong enough to hurt, but it's strong enough to stay there. And it looks like I got weird hand piercings and stuff. Like I'm sure you could stick it in your mouth and on the outside of your mouth, but that would get really close to that whole bad idea of swallowing them every half an hour.
Yeah, there were these ones that were kind of blimp shaped when I was in high school that kids would actually put one on inside of their cheek and the other one on the outside and walk around all day with these magnets just stuck together in their cheek.
Those things are a billion times larger, right? And a billion times weaker. These little things are at least 10 times stronger than the ones you're talking about. But because they're so small, it's just way more fun because I've got like in my hand right now, I don't even know, probably 50 of them or 30 of them or something. Because I use them as on like a metal cabinet or like a metal surface. You can use them like thumbtacks or tape or something, because they're just magnetic. So if I want to like hold a piece of paper up, I just, stick a little ball in there. Or if
now, are these neodymium magnets?
Huh?
Are these neodymium magnets?
Yeah.
I say those things are freaking awesome.
Yeah, they're really neat. And then, well, as long as you buy them from Hong Kong or China, they're not that expensive. It's just expensive if you buy them, at the local store because there's a bunch of middlemen in there. But anyhow, I have tons of them. Whenever I figured out these things are awesome and you can get them for cheap, I bought way too many probably. But I use them for a billion different things now. So I've got them like all over the van and stuff. Like I say, if I need to hold something somewhere, half the time it's a magnet holding it there because I got so many of them. I don't have to think about it. I can just always take 6 of them and stick them somewhere. And that's what's neat is if it's light enough, 1 will hold it. If it's a little bit heavier, 2 will hold it. But because there are so many of them and they really don't cost that much, you can be incremental, right? You can, if it takes 7 to hold something up, who cares? So you put 7 of them there.
Back when I bought my big smoker trailer, the state said I had to have reflectors on the smoker in different areas for whatever freaking reason. And I was debating on, do I want to screw them on, things like that. Because one of the areas they wanted me to put them, it would have been right on my firebox. And I was like, I don't want them to melt. So then I had the idea of getting neodymium magnets and epoxying them to the back of the reflectors so I could put them on there when I was traveling with the smoker. And then when I got to where I was going, I could just pull them off. So the person that had to inspect the trailer for the state and all that, he's like, that's a really neat idea. He's like, they don't come off? I was like, no, went down the interstate doing 70 and they just pulled right on tight.
Yeah, that is really neat. No holes or nothing.
Yep.
Well, I've been, like I say, I've been kind of working. I'm not screen sharing good. I've been working on emails and trying to contact people and wait around for appointments and stuff most of the day. So I don't really want to dig into some of the stuff. But while I was waiting for everything, I was prepping some ideas for this show. But like I said, I'm not going to dig in and bite into some of those topic ideas. But coming up into the future here, there should be more potential, at least, unless something changes. There should be more potential for what's the word? Like a format change, a little bit of a format readjustment or something. And I think I figured out a way to do it now. So July will be a good month to test it in. Big month as far as events and things to do. So I'm just looking at the numbers. We got 6 people out there. Chris is saying stuff, but and then Ursula said some stuff earlier, and Dude said something, but otherwise it's getting kind of slow. And I am ending up spending more time fiddling with these things because I'm pretty much winding down. I'm getting tired. So they say we don't have to end it, but if there's not something to talk about, it's going to end up ending.
I don't have anything important. I say, like you said, you're tired, so.
Let's see. Helpful in a fight, most people expect you to be right-handed. That's certainly true. The thing is, as long as you're hopefully not experiencing some sort of an altercation, or at least the stress levels and the tactics and everything involved in something like that for the first time, then even if you aren't left-handed, you understand that exactly what you're talking about, and hopefully can exploit or take advantage of that concept. Because if you look at it from 90% of the people are right-handed, then you got a pretty good odds that if you're going to be fighting somebody that you don't know and it just came out of nowhere, you can almost assume it's going to be right-handed. You can almost assume it's going to be a he, and you can almost assume it's going to be somebody who's right-handed, right? And that's not. It's just because of the odds, right? 10%.
I mean, there's some things that they do really well. When it comes to baseball, being a left-handed batter always has its perks. First basemen are predominantly left-handed.
Oh, really? Well, that has to do with the way people run around the thing or whatever, right? The way you catch.
Yeah. Basically, they've got a better eye because of how they're standing to receive the ball at first base. Better eye at home plate if given different scenarios and stuff. It was kind of one of the holdbacks for me being first baseman is I was right-handed and having to go against a left-handed first baseman. There's just a bias where people prefer that more. But also, your catchers tend to be predominantly right-handed, and I think that has to do with if they have to make a throw down to second base or anything, they don't want the catcher to peg a left-handed batter.
Well, that's the thing. You would think, like, if they're going to have to wing something, then you don't want them winging something with their left hand when there's a batter in front of them, but the other way around. If there's a left-handed batter, then you'd think you'd want a left-handed catcher, right? Are they allowed to switch that out? I don't understand sports.
Well, I mean, they could, but let's say that gets into substitutions and all kinds of crap. I was actually an umpire for, 14, almost 15 years. But because then you get into really funny stuff where, say you have a switch batter, so they can bat left or right-handed, and they'll choose accordingly depending on whether the pitcher is left-handed or right-handed. And then you have, in rare circumstances, pitchers who can pitch equally as well, left or right-handed, and they're ambidextrous pitchers. Then people are always like, well, how's that work? Because then if the left-handed batter wants to face the left-handed pitcher or something, so he switches to right-handed or vice versa. So the rule actually then is the pitcher, if he's ambidextrous, has to declare which hand he's going to pitch with first. Then the batter can choose.
Right. That's more sports than I've ever talked about my whole life, so we're done.
Yeah.
So, Angelina jumped in here. Welcome.
Hey. So, yeah, I was like, is this a daily sports show?
No. So I forgot how that got started, but
We're just making fun of left-handed people, and then we kind of got serious about some of their good qualities.
we wouldn't want them to be all sad that they're left-handed, so we were saying about how some of their things are good.
Oh, okay.
Like it's good if someone smashes their good hand with a hammer and then they need some kind of rehabilitation. That's probably where it's good to have a left-handed person explain to them, how to live like that.
I see that, yeah.
Anyway, so today is Girl Day. I was posting over on the Instagrams earlier, and this is the day where Susan B. Anthony, who I don't even know who she is, except she's on our dollar, right? And then
Right.
I guess she was a suffrager, and she got arrested for voting in New York because she wanted to vote. And then 110 years later, Sally Ride goes up and flies around in space, hanging out as the first chick from the United States to be in space. And then I find out that it's also the first, or that Amelia Earhart was the first chick to sit as a passenger in an airplane going across the Atlantic Ocean. And, being the first person to fly, well, not the first person, but the first female to be a passenger pretty much means, 1921, I think that was. That the first airplane, so it's not like she had an opportunity to be something besides a pilot. But then, like 10 years later, she gets her pilot's license and then starts breaking all kinds of records as a pilot. So anyway, I think that's just kind of neat. All kinds of girl stuff happened today. So it's like Girl Day out of the middle of nowhere.
Girl power, yeah. Well, girl power, like that's like a thing, I think. Sometimes girls do stuff.
When you woke up today, did you get some kind of urge to do something epic, or like do the first of something today?
You know what? I probably disappoint my sex all the time because all I did was just work today.
Underneath the glass ceiling? Did you work by breaking through the glass ceiling, or you just live within the realm of the glass ceiling, like basically allowing it to exist?
I think, well, you know what? What makes it worse is like I went to the grocery store today.
I can't go to the store anymore because they made it in Arizona where you got to wear a mask all the time. So I'm not going to be able to go to the store anymore.
Oh yeah, that's here in California. You have to wear, like, if you go anywhere, I guess you got to wear a mask in California all the time now.
Actually, I think I have till Saturday or something. But yeah, I got to go buy like all the food I'm going to need till after this whole thing because there's no fucking way I'm not even going to buy a mask. There's no fucking way I'm going to wear a mask.
So you guys stock up so you can. How long are they gonna mask you in Arizona?
I have no idea. I think they're just now getting scared. Like they want to worry about it. So, because before we were like, oh, we're done. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, we haven't started yet. So I have no idea. I guess I'm just going to have to buy the rest of my life's worth of food. I think I'm going to buy some seeds. I'm going to grow spinach and tomatoes and just live off of that. And then raid. I'll pirate and raid. People try to pass my house and stuff.
Yeah, you could put like spike strips down, like set up an elaborate thing where they pull over and get out, and then you just like take all their shit.
I saw the best movie in the world. So there's an awesome thing called Soldier Systems, and it's been around for a long time, since before YouTube and stupid shit. And then so I've been paying attention to it for a long time. And they post weird things and odd things. And then today they posted this movie called A Blade of Grass. Have you ever heard of it? Anyone?
No, I have not.
I never heard of this movie. So I'm like, all right, well, if they're posting it, it's probably like Planet of the Apes, or I don't know. They really like Apocalypse Now. So something like that. Except it's from Europe. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch this. And I look over, it's at my private movie theater. All right, I'm going to watch it. So it's kind of like A Clockwork Orange. And I don't watch A Clockwork Orange ever. So I think it's like A Clockwork Orange in that it's from England and it's old and it's kind of weird. And it's super violent and weird. And weird in a way where it's like made in the 60s and they decided, I don't know, they were just figuring things out, or they were on acid or something, and they just make it weird for no reason. And all of a sudden it's all red, and next there's like people singing. It's just the oddest movie. So you were talking about putting up spike strips, and that's where I thought of this. So it's a movie called A Blade of Grass, and it's about some kind of, I don't really explain, but some sort of virus happens to the grass, and now anything that eats grass is dead, and anything that eats that is dead. So pretty much everything starts dying, everything on the whole planet. And it's in England, and it's in like the Clockwork Orange days. So is that 60s, 70s or something? And it's like, have you ever seen Bob's Burgers, that show?
Yeah.
So there's I don't know what he is. I think he's the landlord, the guy who has an eye patch, though, who's on Bob's Burgers sometimes. There's the guy they made that cartoon character after is the guy in this movie. So he's this like English guy, like that guy from Bob's Burgers, young with an eye patch. And he's got a wife and a daughter. And I don't even, there's no, you have to watch it. But there's a part where after, it's like they're sitting in a bar. Here's how the movie goes. They're sitting in a bar, and it's like the younger guy, the guy with the eye patch, and I guess his brother are sitting in a bar, and they're like, huh. And then the younger guy is like, I think he's eating some gross thing, like the weirdest 70s looking food that's ever. It's just weird. And it's English food. So it's just weird looking food, like a raw piece of meat and like some kind of green thing, like an onion or something, like a green onion. Like I think a tomato, but I don't know. And it's a wet. Anyway, he's eating this weird food, and they made a whole big point because they were showing starving people while he's getting his plate ready. So he's eating his food, and at the same time, he's kind of, I guess, listening to the TV. And I guess, anyways, just a weird movie. And he'll go, the TV says, oh yeah, there's a virus that's killing everything in the grass. And then the guy's like, gets up, he's eating. He's like, oh yeah, I work at a government place, and I know all the secrets or something. And then the one guy's like, oh, and I own a farm. He's like telling his brother, like, oh yeah, and I own a farm.
Is it like well, English have weird humor, like,
I guess.
For one.
But it was just it was sort of like, oh, there's a virus that's killing everything that eats grass. I guess we're gonna have to go to your farm, and I guess we're gonna wait until your government job tells us that we need to book. And it's just the weirdest, like, bad writing and odd timing and just weird. Anyway, so it starts out being weird. As my bad attempt at trying to explain how weird it starts out. And then they get to a part, and this is a spoiler, they're in a car, and it's sort of like 28 Days Later, one of them kind of things when they're in the car. They get to a roadblock, which is a guy with a tractor and a wheelbarrow, or a tractor and a cart or something behind his tractor. And they drive up kind of fast to it, and then they barely brake the vehicle, and they're already opening the doors and climbing out, one of them, kind of like just odd pace, like, oh, we're just going to stop and get out immediately. And they're like, can we help you move your vehicle? And the guy's like, no, we'll just take everything. And they just steal 3 cars worth of stuff without any kind, like, they're just like, well, nope, instead of you helping us, we're just going to take your cars. And they're like, oh. Anyway, long story short, oddest movie ever, and people in Europe are just like the weirdest preppers ever. Like, basically, they just immediately turn on each other and start killing each other. And then they're also utterly helpless. This group gets their cars stolen by just driving up to a guy who has a tractor in the road. Like, they could have drove around the tractor, but they stop to help the guy. They go, hey, can we help you move your tractor? They're like, nope, we're going to take your cars. And they're like, what? And they're like, yep, move the kids out over here. Move, we're taking your cars. And they're like, well, what? Don't. And they're like, yeah, we did already. And then they're like, oh, now they're walking. And now these people are walking, and they come up to some house, and I'm spoiling this, but they come up to this house, and they have one gun, and they walk up to this house, and they kill the first guy, and they're like, and the guy was just trying to fucking figure out who's coming up to his house, right? And then that was the husband, and then they continue walking into the house and kill the wife. And they're just like, well, I guess, we needed to walk around in this house, so fuck them. They shouldn't have, had this house in front of us.
What
So
is this called? Blade of grass?
a blade of grass.
A
It's
blade of
weird,
grass.
and it takes forever to watch it. But I don't watch things like I didn't sit here and watch it. But that's sure as hell how it seemed to me. Like they just decided, now we're walking, so we're gonna go into that house, and they're just like, well, just kill whoever's in that house, and then there's the thing, they eat the people's sausages,
No,
and then
that's very English.
they leave, and they have like kids with them and stuff. So the kids are like, did the people shoot at you? And he's like, yeah. Because totally they didn't. They just walked up and killed these people, took their house, ate lunch or whatever, and then kept booking because they didn't want to live in a house. They're like, oh, we don't want to live in a house. This is too difficult to defend.
Wait, so they just fucked off, but what then to someone else's house and like someone else's fucking sausages or what?
Remember, the whole beginning was they're going to go to the brother. So here's the ultimate spoiler. It starts out with like the one guy eating a gross meal, and then the old guy with the eye patch and his brother. It's the same guy. It's just that in one scene he's got his eye patch on, and in the other scene he's got a white wig on. So it's the brother and the guy with the eye patch and the youngin. And the one guy's like, I've got access to knowledge from my work. And the other guy's like, I got a farm. And then the other guy had an eye patch. So this movie is about the guy with the eye patch going to his brother's farm. And along the way, his daughter gets raped, his wife gets raped. They walk up to somebody and the guy's like, oh, they walk into a gun shop. So it starts out with them eating, and they go like, oh, everybody's dying because of the grass or whatever. And then it's like 4 scenes later, they're basically red dawning it out of town in the truck, and they go to stop at some gun shop. And I somehow, because of the one younger guy, they have a head start on the rest of the world. So they're booking it out of town, Red Dawn style, in the truck before everybody else. It's like they had a heads up that the school was going to get attacked, so they got in the pickup and left. And then they go to this gun shop. You almost have to watch it because it's hilarious. He goes, I'd like to get a sporting rifle. And the guy's like, okay. And he's like, and maybe a handgun. He's like, you got permits for that? And he goes, no. And he's like, well, of course you can't get. And he's like, we're going to steal it. And then they jump the guy at the gun shop to steal the handguns, right? And then this kid who works for the guy at the gun shop comes out of the back room and holds a gun on him and goes, like, stop it, like, whatever. And then the owner of the gun shop is like, you can't just steal guns. What's wrong with you? He's like, oh, we know ahead of time that the world's about to end. So here's the deal. We got this cool farm. You can come with us if you give us your guns. And the gun shop owner's like, no, I don't believe any fucking one. You just came in here and started stealing my guns. And like, I don't even know the world's going to end. So no, get out of here. So the guy with the eye patch looks over at the employee of the gun shop. Or no, he doesn't even look over there. The employee of the gun shop just kills his boss, kills the gun shop guy on the word of a guy in the eye patch who comes in and goes, the world's about to end, and we need a bunch of guns that we don't have permits for. So the guy kills his boss, and that gets him into the group or whatever. And then later on, that guy will end up raping a bunch of people. It's a horrible movie, and they have like no filter at all. Like, oh, you're my best friend. Oh, you just raped my wife and my daughter. Like, what? And then like that guy doesn't even die till the end. Like, he never kills the guy who rapes everybody. It's the oddest movie in the world. Not the oddest movie in the world, but a very, very odd movie.
I'm pretty sold on it, and I think I'm going to watch it.
It's very boring, though. Like, all of the stuff I said was like the good parts that are like a million miles apart from each other. Like, you have to watch a lot of boring. You might like it. It's like, I like watching an old 70s movie about like California or something because they drive around in old 70s cars and go to like 70s restaurants and, in California or someplace.
Right.
It's interesting. Like, this is 1970 England. So, like, to me, it's super boring. But you might like, I don't know if you liked 1970s England cars and houses and clothes and stuff like that. It's a lot like, to me, it seemed like watching that other movie, Clockwork Orange.
I like Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange is about the future, though, huh? Like,
Kinda.
I mean, it was made in the past, but it was supposed to be about the future. I don't remember. But this wasn't about the future. It was made in the 60s. Like, I think about the 90s or something, but, you know, it wasn't like some Star Wars future or nothing. Yeah, I can't recommend it, but it is definitely an experience if you end up watching it.
Chris in the chat was actually asking if this movie's called No Blade of Grass, made in 1970.
Yeah, that's it. And it looks weird on the cover. It looks kind of dumb. It's green.
Oh, hey, Woods. Woods has now joined us.
Hey, folks. I was thinking we should all go to Winchester.
Winchester.
Shaun of the Dead. I thought it was funny that the one place they could go in the zombie apocalypse has a working firearm. Weird.
Oh, I haven't seen that one except I think once. Now I know what you're talking about. The one where it's like a comedy zombie movie. Yeah. I only saw that one once, I think. Whenever it first came out, too.
One of my favorite zombie movies ever. Because just how stupid they are. Just the kind of what you're saying. It's called Zomboat.
This is not exploitation. This is not satisfying or something you'd want to watch. This is some sort of art film, and it's the equivalent of watching something preached to you nowadays about, you know, whatever. You're not woke enough or whatever. There's, you ever seen like an old show where they try to show you like brainwashing or whatever by flipping through a bunch of pictures all at the same time or real fast and then playing weird music and like some sort of weird video hypnotism thing like they thought worked back in the day. That's like big chunks of this movie. It'll just be weird. You know, I know they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to give you a guilt trip or they're trying to open your eyes about something. I'm not aware of what they're trying to tell you. But it's either anti-war or it's anti-distribution of resource. It's anti-something. It's not satisfied with something, and there's some lesson to be learned. I don't think it's a lesson to be learned like beware of pandemics, because even though it was like a virus that was killing everything, it was more of like preaching about we don't feed the world or we're not peaceful enough. It wasn't really war, but it was. Maybe it was just all about like no matter what, people don't trust each other. I guess that could have been because of the way that people were all weird. And then at the end, like, I guess I really didn't spoil it, but you know, he's going to his brothers and that ends about as odd as you can imagine. Like if you thought of a movie where the whole plot of the movie is to see one brother go to the other brother's farm, like the whatever you think least possible thing could happen is what happens in this movie.
Shoot farms.
Oh, nice.
I can't remember. They didn't really do too much there except have the.
She made a reference to the show The Office.
I know. I'm trying to think of like how often they even went there in The Office. I mean, they talked about it, but I know they showed it a couple of times.
Didn't
They had a wedding there.
I was gonna say they went there for something at some point. So
Didn't Dwight drop Ryan off there and then ditch him? He's like, "Hold on, I gotta answer from my car."
We had to test it. He was tested.
Yeah, he was testing them or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
he's
it was a
gotta
test.
figure this out or something.
He had to fight Mo, also known as your fear.
It's about that. I mean, you see it, the farm eventually at the end, barely. Like, so you see it about as much as you hear about it a lot, and you only barely ever see it. So yeah, I guess in a lot of ways it's like that one, actually. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That movie's pretty good. You seen that one?
Nope.
I have. It's pretty funny.
Negative.
Another one.
Sort of like your kids being dumb in the woods, like at a cabin, except that like they think. Wait, I can't remember. Do they think they're being attacked, or they're just totally? I think they think they're being attacked, but it's more like I don't know, like the neighborhood friendly, like concerned neighbor comes over because somebody's renting the place and the what do you call it, like the mulcher has been turned on. So they like go, oh, well, let me go turn that off for them. And then they trip and fall into it. And then there's blood everywhere. And they're like, somebody's killing people and throwing them in the mulcher. Like they just misunderstand everything that happens. And I think a lot of people end up dying, but it's like a horror movie, but a spoof comedy type of thing that isn't like a complete spoof. Like it's not just completely parroting it, so it's boring. It's
Is it kind of like the Evil Dead series then?
what?
Is it like the Evil Dead series where it's a horror movie but it's more a comedy?
Definitely like that in the comedy way, but there's no evil happening. It's just they think it from looking out from the cabin, looking out. They think all these horrible things are happening, and like it's just a bunch of like comedy of errors that's actually happening. So it's I don't know, I thought it was pretty good actually. For it's more of a comedy that acts like a horror than a horror comedy. Yes, that's what I think. Anyway, I think that's the one. If I'm thinking of the right one, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Any of you ever see the movie The Happening?
Pretty sure.
No.
It honestly, when you started describing the No Blade of Grass movie, that's what I was almost thinking you were talking about, because it's about the plants on the earth basically emitting some sort of pheromone or something, and then people just start committing suicide because they breathe this in, and it's pretty different.
Oh yeah. No, that movie that you're talking about, I didn't like it that much. It's if I remember right, they just don't really explain it, right? They just like something happened and we don't know what, but certainly something happened and it was horrible. That
Yeah.
movie was well made and like it's not trying to preach. This movie was trying to preach something to you. Like it was either world hunger or something. But it was like there was something that you ain't woke about, and by watching this movie, they're going to cure you of that. Where the movie you're talking about was just like, hey, you want to watch a movie? Like it's just a plain old movie with a plot, and you go home and you're not like you don't feel worse, like oh man, now I realize how much I don't care about the world or something.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but pretty much anybody I've ever talked to that has seen it was like, yeah, I really didn't care for it. I'm like, wow, I feel like a left-handed person now.
Well, Patriots saying Shaun of the Dead, that's what started it all, I think, or at least. Yeah,
that movie's great.
My thing was whenever I was in high school, I guess I had a couple of friends that were like beyond into horror stuff, and like they both wanted to make. Back in the day, you had to make things out of foam, like that movie FX. Like you had to make stuff out of foam and physically make things look like something so that you could jab a knife into it or kill it or make its guts fall out. So it wasn't any CGI or nothing yet. And then anyway, so I got so bored and sick of hearing about all them movies that if I ever did like horror movies, like just having them too, it would be like if somebody was way into 9mm and they never shut up about it, and at some point you're like, you know what, now I hate 9mm just because of you, right? That's how I was with horror movies. And then that one guy ended up being my roommate, so like he just constantly watched horror movies. I couldn't understand it.
I watch a lot of shows about murder.
Well,
like mystery shows.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. That's like unsolved mysteries type of thing. Like I can't remember. I was just watching some movie that wasn't a horror, and it's a good, not a good, but like a big budget movie. But the thing about horrors is like the two kids. Like this one movie I watched. I can't remember what it is. You might remember from me describing it, but it was like the guy and his girl, and they're either going together or they're about to get married or they're just married or something, right? But they're like at the beginning of something relationship, and then they're in a car and they're going somewhere, and then they pick up a hitchhiker, and then the hitchhiker sits in the passenger seat, she sits in the back seat. And I didn't watch the whole movie because immediate, like the first couple of tension like pieces, I was like, there can't be tension when you're sitting behind this guy. Like how can you possibly be scared of somebody sitting in front of you in a passenger seat? Like maybe if he was sitting in the back seat and you didn't know what he was doing back there, but it just like those situations, they put the people in just seems so stupid half the time in horror movies. It's like all you had to do is open that door, turn on a light.
Well, it's
Just
like
wouldn't be
porn
there.
and horror movies. They have like weird situations.
Yeah, but that's where I can't get into horror because you have to have like some kind of like, well, all you would have to do is go upstairs. Like, why would you not stand up in that water? Like those kind of things bother me, and I can't watch it. But what you're talking about is like, I don't watch those either, where they just get all creepy about like the facts and weird stuff, or like try
Yeah, that's what
telling
I
you way
watch.
too much stuff about white people or what people did and all that.
But yeah, so like then you like don't trust anyone, and you're like, oh, I'm not telling anyone where I live. They're gonna come murder me.
I watched something. This was a while ago, but it was it on YouTube? I think it was, maybe it was a movie. But anyway, it was about somebody in like Russia back in the 40s, maybe. Wait a minute. No, this was a movie. Or I mean, this was a documentary or like some kind of a show. But anyway, it was about somebody back in the olden days went somewhere in Russia and disappeared. So then,
That could be like today.
what?
That could be today.
Well, but I mean, in weird circumstances or whatever. So then, more recently, these hikers went there to, recreate or rediscover, and then, oh yeah, the deal is they go missing. I'm confusing it with another movie I actually seen, but now this in the real life thing, these people go to this place, and I think they were just there hunting, but they just got all. It's just weird, like they take off all their clothes and start walking, but it's like blizzarding and stuff. So they're like, well, they probably got hypothermia, but just the way that normal people when they get hypothermia act, like these people acted differently. So I watched something about that, and I don't remember if they were thinking it was. I guess some people thought it was like maybe an alien thing or something, but I think everybody else was like, just what happened? Why did they act so differently than regular people with hypothermia? And like, why did it all happen at the same time? And it was something like they were supposed to go up here and to the left, but they ended up going up here and went straight. And so they ended up, even though they all knew the area or something, or they knew where they needed to be before the storm, like they all were in the wrong place. And it just made no sense that they would all be in the wrong place and then all be susceptible to hypothermia or something at the same time. Anyways, something like that was kind of neat, and that had no answer. I mean, there's nothing to be creeped out about other than, I don't know, if somebody were to say, hey, let's go camp in the middle of nowhere or whatever.
So Willed and Well Armed out in the chat said when he was like 11 or 12 back in the 70s, his mother took him to see a horror movie about people on a boat that hit a sunken ship full of Nazi zombies. That just sounds like something I've got to try and find and check out.
That sounds so terrible. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I can see like a ship of them, but is that zombies? Duh. I was gonna say I could see a ship of Nazis, but like a sunken one, maybe a U-boat. Okay, Nazis, or I mean zombies, could be literally just like dead Nazis, right? Pirates or whatever.
Do you guys ever find stuff that's so terrible that you have to keep watching it because of how terrible it is?
No, I'm not into that. Not when there's maybe back in the day, but not when there's like not with the private movie theater. I can just watch something else. So if I watch something that's trying to preach at me anymore, especially the new stuff, because it's so bad at trying to preach at you. I don't even know what it's trying to preach. Like it's trying to tell me stuff that it's not even clear what it's trying to yell at me about. That kind of stuff, I'll just quit. I don't care if Harrison Ford's in it or something. I'll just quit and go watch something I know is good. They had to be the same whenever you got like a big stack of DVDs, like people that got a big wall of DVDs. Like, why would you ever watch anything that you didn't want to?
Harrison Ford, though.
Have you seen this new dog one? Am I thinking of the right guy? Yeah, I think I'm thinking of the right guy. He's got one where he's like a dog or Call of the Wild or something.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out.
No, I've not seen it yet.
It's bad. I don't think he's picking good movies anymore.
Oh, it sucks. That's shitty.
It was just boring. It was just like Is this a Disney movie? Like, did you have some? It's like he had a contractual obligation. You know, it's not bad. I mean, it's obviously well made and everything. It's just boring. It's like, oh, this isn't. I mean, it's like made for little kids or something. So I guess we're talking about movies. What is today? Thursday? We're a day off. So I did, like I say, I've been kind of working on how to do the show, the channel, and that kind of stuff. Back in the day, we had the layout or the format for the show. Mondays was 2A media. Tuesdays was 2A Tuesday. Wednesdays was entertainment and stuff like that. And then Thursdays was training. And then Fridays was business and industry. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do. I'm only going to change it to tactical Thursdays so that it can be training / other things besides training also. And then, so anyway, I think before we used to do like one movie. And I think that was I don't think that was the way to do it. So I think I'm going to start doing it with like 3 movies. And that way, you know what I mean, if somebody hasn't seen a movie, it's not like, here's the movie we're talking about. And since no one else has seen it, that topic's over. But if there's 3 movies, then pretty good chance somebody's seen one of them. And then there's a little bit of playing around. You can figure out something that ties the 3 together, or maybe something that they couldn't be more opposite or something. Right? So anyway, I guess we're trying to talk about movies tonight, which is kind of on track with that. Patriot's saying, have we seen a movie Triangle? I don't think so. Have we seen that one?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Is that about the Bermuda Triangle, Patriot? If so, I think I've seen it.
Let's see. There was some chemical that brought them to zombie. My mom, me, my little sister, never mentioned. Huh. One time I was a little kid and we went to Outland, Sean Connery movie, and
That movie's great.
yeah, there's like well, I remember I don't ever go to the bathroom in movies anymore. Maybe this is why. We watched the movie, and we're little kids, and my we went with my friend's parents, and his parents, well, were weird, and maybe because they had other kids, you know, they had me there, they were thinking like they needed to be extra worried about stuff. But I can't remember for the life of me how the movie opens, but there might have been something, sex or violence or something, and they were kind of like, I don't know what the hell, if it's probably an R-rated movie too. But they probably weren't paying attention to that, and they just let us pick it, and we would have definitely picked science fiction. So, and with James Bond in it, come on, right? So we were little, but I can remember something happened, and it was like, you could tell they were uneasy. And then for whatever dumbass reason, I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom. Like, who the hell goes to the bathroom in a movie, right? So I come back from the bathroom and barely sit down, and that's the part where I think, well, now that I've seen the movie, it's the first time somebody's head explodes in an elevator. So I barely sit down, if I remember right, and then the guy's head explodes. They go in an elevator in space, and the head explodes in the suit and everything. It's awesome. And then his parents were like, "Okay, let's go." Then that's as much as Outlander as I ever saw until much later when it was on cable or something. That's the only time a parent like censored what we were watching ever.
Didn't Sean Connery have some kind of badass shotgun in that?
Yeah, like a sawed-off semi-auto, which you never really ever see until.
Which clearly would be the gun you send to space.
Yeah, seriously. And back in the 70s, that's the kind of stuff you would send to space. And you didn't see something like that again until Lone Wolf McQuaid many years ago. In California, cruise ship, people go missing, like vanishing in there, go on there, get stuck on a cruise ship. I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, Triangle. How can it be in California? Bermuda Triangle's on the other side of the place, right?
Yeah, isn't it off Florida? Like over in that area?
Oh, snap. That would be a long boat ride. Shockwaves, 1977 Nazi zombie movie. Huh. Let's see. So we got the Girl Day over there. That means something else is happening tomorrow. Let me go look at the calendar again. And oh, wait, all kinds of good stuff happens tomorrow. Well, not good stuff. We got the 1903 Springfield being adopted, got the Green Berets' birthday, and then the ominous Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968. So the beginning of 68 Gun Control Act is tomorrow. Okay, that's like the fifth yawn. I can't even keep them under control at this point. We've been going for an hour or something, so I don't know. I don't want to cut it off, but I also just saying stuff here. It's the catch of the movie, so they might not really be alive. So many might not really be alive. I guess I'm missing something. I guess it's not about the Bermuda Triangle then, if I'm understanding all the Patriots ones. Have you watched that movie Triangle? In California cruise ship, people go missing, like vanishing, and they get stuck on a cruise ship. It's the catch, so many might not really be alive. Yeah. I don't know if you're missing words there or if I'm just tired and I'm not catching it right.
It's called Triangle. I feel like I've seen something like that, but I don't know what it was called.
I can remember whenever Leonard Nimoy was doing In Search Of on TV, like the Bermuda Triangle was the biggest thing ever. Like Scooby-Doo would talk about it, movies would talk about it, TV shows would talk about it. You would get little paperback books at school that would talk about it. Do they still do that where you go to school and they give you books?
No, well, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in free school.
I haven't seen any little kid. Well, I don't think I ever needed to. I think that was more like you went to school with money and you came home with books. It wasn't like you walked around selling books to anybody.
Oh, the fucking Scholastic Book Fair?
They still have
like they would have like a gym full of all kinds. It would look like a library in your gym, except you would buy the books and they would be like a quarter or something. So like you go in there and buy a whole bunch of them as a little kid.
Yeah, they still do that.
It's pretty slick. They come in a big case, and like the parent that's running it just opens them up, and like they got their system down now.
Oh, so it's not like a business. It's just something like somebody puts on the jacket.
It's a fundraiser for the school.
But like somebody's just in charge of it. They keep it in the closet somewhere and they pull it out.
Well, it gets like delivered to like maybe a week before, and then like they take over the library, the cafeteria or something, and they cordon off an area, and then you walk your class through, and the parents send money and whatever. And
back in the day, it was just like, probably a truck or something, because it would, just like you said, except it would be a big deal. Like it wouldn't just be something in the mail. It had to be a truck or something.
Yeah, it's like the big cases that like rock stars use for like their amps and junk. It's like that. They just open them up and they're already displayed and everything.
Cool. And then it just goes to another school when you're done. It doesn't go like into storage and whatever. It just keeps moving.
It just goes back to them and they refill it and going on to another school somewhere else.
I seen something like that as a surplus thing. Or maybe it was a library, but it was something almost similar, except it would be more like the stuff would be set up in the, I don't know what you call it, like a vehicle, I guess, and then the kids would walk through it. That might be something different too. Just might be a library.
I have seen one time that the book fair was like a tractor trailer rig, and you'd walk through one end and go out the other end.
So they come in the parking lot and never have to worry about nothing. Just have it in the parking lot.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah, especially if it's like you're saying, where like the district doesn't have to worry about it. It just comes when they need it, type of thing, and then leaves.
Yeah, it's always run by the parent association anyway. So the district doesn't really have to do anything other than go, yeah, do it on this day.
So Wheel is saying it's a racket. So I thought it was a deal because it makes you get a bunch of books that normally you wouldn't have a bunch of books as a kid.
Well, I know that I've had a lot of times where they've raised a bunch of money to buy books to give to kids.
What?
like they say that Scholastic gets their cut, but then the parent association gets their cut. They take that money to buy books to give out to the kids.
Oh, so it's win-win-win. The kids get a cheap book, and then they use whatever profits there are to just give them more books.
Yeah, and I would imagine Scholastic, because I've seen boxes and boxes where some of the cheap books that don't sell, Scholastic just writes them off and hands them to the school.
Yeah, exactly. And then they just give them the kids for whatever. Because really, it's not about fundraising, right? It's just about doing something to get kids interested in a book that they have some kind of ownership over or whatever, because they got to pick it and it's not a library.
Right. Because one thing we know about kids reading is you got to have them read something they're interested in.
Now, is that separate? Then there used to be a thing probably around Christmas or maybe now for Father's Day or something, where they come in with a bunch of garbage and then little kids have to buy it for their parents.
That depends on that's all parent association stuff, but I've seen candy and gift wrap, and I'm always the one that gets hit up by like multiple students. And I'm like, I don't need this much gift wrap. I really don't. But can you say no to a 7-year-old that's got the big eyes? Probably not.
Well, if it ain't your kid.
Yeah, well, I'm a teacher. I'm a sucker for kids, man. But I got really good cookie connection.
Woods, do you guys do any of those Little Caesars fundraisers?
I've seen them done. The school I work for this year didn't do it. We've done everywhere from the Little Caesars to the Book It from Pizza Hut, where you read so many books and then Pizza Hut gives you a pizza or whatever.
Yep. I like the Book It program. I always thought that was neat, just to encourage kids to read. But I never understood the Little Caesars fundraiser, because I think the things are like, what, $10 for the pizza packet thing for Little Caesars, and that you have to go pick it up or whatever once they all come in, and then you go throw it in your freezer like any other frozen pizza. Then you got to cook it yourself, or you could just go to Little Caesars and buy a hot and ready for $5.
Well, but it's not about the transaction. It's about the kid earning it, and then the kid gets to make it, right? It's a big deal.
Well, the thing that confused me was just the price being so much higher. Like, I understand it's to help out the school programs and things like that, but I'm just like, I struggle to see how they actually sell enough to make a dent when, like I said, you could just go to Little Caesars and get one that's already cooked.
When we were in kids, the only thing I can remember selling, like not the only thing, but I can remember selling stuff for, like, we would do like pancake breakfasts or crap for sale and to raise money for different things. But it was always like door to door for the most part, and some sort of version of the older kids teach the younger kids, and usually that means like they teach them one thing when the parents are around, and then when you're out walking around, they teach them the real deal. So a whole nother level of stuff you get learned. And
you can't even do the door to door stuff.
Huh?
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. We're real clear about you only sell to people you already know.
Well,
that's because of the nowadays. But I'm just saying, compared to like the deal where it's like, here, we're gonna like read and get a pizza pack or something, like I just think it's more of a different learning experience or whatever than it's like, here's the steps you're going to follow, and then you follow them and then you're done, as opposed to here's the goal you got to reach, and how you get there is part of the whatever, right?
Yeah, true that.
I just think it's a shame that you can't even do the door to door stuff now because all your municipalities want you to get a permit.
Yeah.
I actually heard, it wasn't my hometown, but this was when I was actually still in high school. I heard about a couple students and their parents that were being fined because they didn't go get a business permit or whatever the heck it was exactly that they needed to go door to door selling a fundraiser.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. I mean, it's not like, okay, you've crossed the finish line, you're done, here's your prize, go home. It's about preparing and learning, and what are the requirements, and what are the hurdles I have to accomplish. And I mean, I can understand if it's like, oh, we didn't know you needed it, now we got it and we're over. But I mean, like, I wouldn't be upset that the kid had to do stuff. That's the whole point. If you got to get a business license or something, that's just part of the merit badge, or part of the, I don't know, crowdfunding project, or whatever they call them.
I'd imagine that's a fairly rare thing. You have to be a heartless dick to really enforce that, right?
You would think that the municipalities would put some kind of clause in there, unless you're a tiny kid trying to learn lessons about capitalism.
But that's the thing, they don't. Like, growing up, one of my childhood friends, her dad helped her build a lemonade stand, and they were selling lemonade, and the city came and shut it down, said you don't have proper permits and all that fun jazz, and fined them, and just for a lemonade stand.
Well, I would have used a lot of cuss words there.
I mean, it's just awful. All the red tape that you got to go through today to try and do some of these things.
Well, I mean, I can't get on board with you, man. I can't. I mean, a kid wants to have a lemonade stand. Back in the olden days, if you just did it, I mean, that's kind of cool. But guess what? You either didn't have the requirement, or you did and you were ignoring it, right? But if there's a requirement now and you're ignoring it, why? Because you're young, you don't have to obey the law. I mean, yes, I can understand it's frustrating. And if a little kid is only able to deal with like certain things or whatever, then that's too much for them advanced wise or whatever. But if they're putting sugar and water in glass and offering it to people, technically, how do you know the kid just didn't like wake up one morning and decide, I'm going to put this liquid in this cup and sell it, and then somebody comes along assuming it's lemonade and then drinks a thing of bleach because the kid didn't know, because he was just a little kid.
Oh, come on. We need more regulation. Come on, man.
No. What?
I berate him. You write up my kid for having a lemonade stand? Oh my God.
No, I'm saying that if you're going to be like, hey kid, go put up a lemonade stand and like screw all the laws, no, you teach your kid that you got to get a permit to get a lemonade stand. Like, hey, if you want to go into business, what part of, you're going to teach your kid about taxes? I mean, what are you teaching your kid? Like, there are no laws, like everybody has to bend around you because you felt like doing this? Or do you teach your kid, oh, you want to do lemonade stand? Okay, here's the bigger question. When your kid says, I want to do a lemonade stand, you tell me, I'm not a parent, I don't know. But when your kid says, I want to have a lemonade stand, you go, fine, I'm going to give you lemonade, and I'm going to make a stand, and then I'm going to watch you, and then I'm going to put you on Instagram, and then I'm going to congratulate you. Or do you go, okay, what's the first thing you need? And then they're going to go, water, I don't know what the kid's going to say, wood, for the stand. But are you going to have the kid build their stand? Or are you going to have the kid make their lemonade? And then the next question, do you go, hey, this is a business, or this is Fantasyland? If your kid's playing Fantasyland dolls in the street, then fine. Then you would be offended if the police came up and shut it down playing dolls in the street. But if the kid's in business, then how are you shortchanging your kid? If the kid's in business to learn, if it's playing doing business, then leave the kid alone. If the kid's trying to be in business and raise money like a paper route or something, guess what? You get to learn what taxes are. You get to learn what health codes are. You get to learn what working in a town is and what taxes. I mean, you should be teaching a kid all that stuff, no?
No.
Yeah, but when you're talking about permits that kind of cost hundreds of dollars, going through getting, now you're going to have to get serve safe. That's a whole, I mean, no kid is going to be able to get a serve safe certification. That's stuff that's way over their head.
If they're telling you that you got to have the same as a restaurant, then they're just telling you can't have lemonade stands. But if they have like a $5 permit, like for a 3-day, I want to sell stuff on the side of the road, then
But that's the problem. It's not $5. It'd be different if it was $5, but a lot of these permits are triple figures.
well, then again, if you're talking, I hear you. I mean, I can't tell you if you have a kid that got a $300 bill for putting a plate lemonade stand in front of your own house, then you win. But if you're talking a $300 permit to put a shack out in front of any business on a busy street, yeah, you can't just say, hey, I'm 7, so laws don't apply to me. I'm going to set up a lemonade stand where anybody else in the world who wanted to put a lemonade stand here and make a couple of bucks is going to have to pay $300 to get in the way of everybody. And, you know, all the reasons is you pay $300 to have a permit to have a thing on a busy street. I can't imagine a $300 permit for a kid to play lemonade stand in front of their house.
We're assuming it's in front of your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I am. I mean, I can't imagine.
or you came over like somewhere else. It's like an acre.
How are you going to get a $300 permit for a lemonade stand in front of your house? There's no residential street that warrants a $300 permit, unless it's like what do they call a housing area where they don't want that kind of stuff, so they put a crazy cost on it. But that's not the city; that's the housing area. I don't know. I'm just not one to shake my fist at the sky based on what a bunch of people online say. I haven't actually seen a child get a bill, like a cop come up and go, well, I don't want to have to do it, but here's a $300 ticket.
Or they don't give it to the kid; they give it to the parent because the parents in charge of the kid and all that fun jazz. But selling 50-cent lemonades, to cover, even if it's $100 for the permit. You're talking about how
you'd have to show me actual instance of someone getting $100 or any amount of fine for a 50-cent lemonade, because a 50-cent lemonade is plain lemonade stand in front of your house. I can't imagine anyone having a problem with that unless it's the housing development who doesn't want anything in front of anybody's house. But I can't see where they're going to actually enforce. I mean, if it was a kid selling sodas, right? Like I'm going to go to the store and buy 35-cent sodas and sell them for $2.50 in front of my house. Good luck. That's a business. And yeah, go get a permit and go figure out how you run a business. You don't get to not learn all the business because you're young or you're a kid or something. But if it's kid playing lemonade, I don't know even what we're talking about. Unless, like I say, you guys have actual things. I'm rebelling not against the concept because I don't want a kid to get fined either. Just the idea that there's some cop out there or some tax guy who actually puts out hundreds of dollars worth of permit or fines to people for putting out a, Linus and Lucy lemonade stand in front of them.
Yeah, let's say my argument is there's just too much red tape, and they get too tied up in it. When it's a fundraiser for a kid, selling wrapping paper and going door to door saying, "Hey, would you like to buy this wrapping paper for my school program?" And like I said, a good friend of mine from when I was a kid, and I wish her father was still alive because I could probably ask him and he would know, but he passed away a long time ago. But like I said, she wanted to have a lemonade stand, so he got her a table, got her all the stuff to do the lemonade. They were selling it, and then cops come, said, "Hey, you tear it down because you don't have these permits that you need to have to sell lemonade, or else we're going to fine you," and everything else. And when they looked into the permits, and this was back in the 90s, like I said, they were a little over $100.
So according to this internet, I typed in lemonade stand in Tucson, and I get a thing from the local news from Tucson here that said, and this is from June of last year, 2019, so about a year old. There's a movement afoot, blah, blah, blah. It says lemonade stands are only legal in 14 states. So I guess it's illegal in most states. And Country Time, the lemonade place, that's what they're writing this article about, doing some sort of big campaign where they'll offer to pay the fines and give them marketing stuff like signs and stuff to have a lemonade stand.
Yeah, let's say, because stuff like that I like when kids want to do it, because then as a parent, you can sit down and say, all right, well, you're going to need cups, you're going to need sugar, you're going to need this lemonade stuff, you're going to need pitchers, and so on and so forth. So then you sit them down and say, well, you're going to have the money to cover the costs to just get everything made. Then you got to realize, you're going to have to sell X amount. That way you're not losing a ton of money. And, it teaches them the value of a dollar and how to manage that too. Like I said, I think there's so much red tape today. Kids can't experience things like that because, before you do any of it, you got to go spend $100 or, I mean, heck, it could be even more now, just to be allowed, or else somebody's going to come around and say you can't do that, and if you continue, we're going to fine you. It'd be different if it was meant to be a business. Let's say, and I'm with you 100% on it. If it's meant to be a business, that's a whole different thing. But if this is just something a kid wanted to do because they thought it'd be fun one day, the kids they don't get to do things like that now.
I don't know. I've seen it, so I don't know. They're saying that it's illegal in Arizona, yet I see them. So, I mean, I guess it's possible that,
and it's probably depends on where you live, the municipalities, how they want to on it.
You got to have somebody who's willing to call the police. And I think when I've seen it, it's just some kid sitting there, and it's not like there's a crowd of people. I mean, it's a kid selling lemonade, so it's going to be some people willing to buy lemonade off a kid, right? Other kids, and somebody walking, I guess. Like, I guess maybe somebody's going to stop. But you know what I mean? It's not like, I don't know. I certainly never seen the police around or anything.
I watched this video a year or two ago. These people were being harassed by whatever city they lived in because they were going to have a yard sale, and the city was saying that they had to go get some special permit and pay whatever costs that the city deemed the right amount so they could have a yard sale in their own yard.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when you got like, I don't know, we got 1 million people. So if you got 1 million people and 1% have a yard sale every weekend, or each weekend 1% has a yard sale, that would be 100,000 people. So if 0.1%, that would be 1,000 people. I mean, I don't know how many yard sales there actually are, but you know what I mean? Like, by the time you start thinking about how many yard sales might happen in a weekend, how many people don't pick up their yard sale signs?
Oh, so yeah.
It's just yard sale signs. So just the yard sale signs and not anything else associated with any kind of yard sale. Now, how many officers does it take, or more like how many hours of an officer's time does it take to either follow up and call the name on the thing and say, go pick up all your signs, or pick up the signs? And if it's not an officer's time, is it some maintenance person in town who's picking it up as part of their route, sweeping the streets or something? And that's just the time. So that's all. It's like whenever somebody says like, oh, there's, a fee for this. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's happening in a town with a bunch of people, and ignore all the service that happens when, one person does their thing perfectly and takes down their signs. That's awesome. And it's frustrating that they got to pay a fee to do the stuff that doesn't incur any cost. But when you live in a town with 1 billion other people, then, that's one of the ways they figure it out. Okay, of the people doing yard sales, if we figure it costs us probably $70,000 a week to keep track of yard sales. So, if there's going to be 1,000 of them, then they're each paying $7, or however the math comes out. That's what I'm assuming in the big picture. And then you get unscrupulous bureaucrats hanging out in that bureaucracy, right? And then skimming and adding percentages whenever they can. So I'm not saying nothing's perfect, but I'm also going to understand why you might have to get a permit in a big enough town to have something that seems like should be your business or whatever.
So I guess I'm kind of on the anti-government side here, just looking at it as they're trying to collect revenue any which way they can, which I can understand.
Yeah, I'm not trying to
designate one guy to go around town, and now they're wasting money on city vehicle, and this guy to go around town and collect signs and stuff like that. Then,
even if he looks at the signs and calls them in, right? Even if it's just a number that you call and say people left the sign, their signs out, because that's even probably be the cheapest thing. Not even have an officer, just have a hotline. If people have not taken in their yard sale signs, let us know. And then you call, somebody has to read that. So there's still going to be hours somewhere. And that's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying it's justified, because you could do it all kinds of other ways. You could have a bid for a community service situation where people that are difficult to find, or people that find it difficult to have jobs or to find full-time work or to find work in the hours or whatever situation they've got, maybe that's the perfect role for them. And maybe that's something that can become off of government. Government should have never had that job in the first place, right? Maybe that's the something that could just be organized as a civic thing where, on the Tuesday morning exercise, we go out and, our old folks club goes out and pulls down the signs. And then, once a month, we let people know how many we did, just so that it's archived and people understand that this didn't happen magically and that we saved the government this much money doing it. I mean, there's all kinds of possibility. I'm not saying I'm for big government. I'm just not going to hate government just because a situation, or blame the government just as a situation happens, right? That's what happens too often in our shows is people say echo chamber, and that's just where people don't challenge each other. They just go, yeah, shake their hands at the sky and feel satisfied because you've complained, but you haven't moved the positions on the playing board. You've just, on the playing field, you've just yelled about the positions on the playing field.
Yeah, so like I said, my biggest issue is, when it comes to the stuff with the kids.
Is this guy for serious that he thinks I'm against lemonade stands and yard sales? He's either not good at joking or whatever, being sarcastic, or
Who said that?
Wheeled and well armed.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm not interested.
Might be one of those situations where it's typed so it doesn't
possibly
come across right.
But I'm certainly not going to, like I just said, I'm not going to just complain because everybody else complains about something. There's usually reasons for it, and the insight or the nuance is what sets us aside so we can get past the speed bump.
Yeah, and because I don't want to sound like a complainer, because I understand the need for, permits for people that want to go door to door selling vacuum cleaners. That way you're not getting harassed by people that are trying to scam you, things like that. And I guess my thing is, how many times have people went around and said, hey, this is my school fundraiser, we're selling wrapping paper at Christmas, and scam people. I know, and I'm not going to say it's never happened, but I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Oh no, it totally is. There's rackets basically. So if you figure there's something happening, that often there'll be somebody doing something similar, because it doesn't take nothing. It just takes people willing to do it, and kids unfortunately do what their parents tell them. So,
yeah.
I'm not saying that,
those videos where a mother's shoplifting and she's got 4 kids and she's handing their kids steak and having them stuff steak down their pants and their shirt and stuff. And, the kids are just guilty by proxy, and it's awful that they're put in that situation in the first place.
It'll, at least from my experience, because I'm only familiar with scouts mostly, where we hadn't sell anything ever, but you'd have people that either jumped over from another area, right? So they just knew this was the time of year you sell this or that or whatever, and they'll jump over from another area and then sell in your area. And then, well, okay, so there could be legit, like, I'm just going to sell in your area and piss you off and, provide the product when it's all over. But then you get kids that either jumped out of scouts or just knew of scouts, and they'd either just get a uniform somewhere or something or not wear a uniform. And you can not wear a uniform and just go around acting like a scout back in the day, at least. And people eventually would do it, would pay you because they're used to, this is the time of year they come around and do this, or this is the time of year they come around and sell that. So, kids that you'd have to have the balls and do it. But back before there was cameras and before there was consequences, basically, that would definitely be a thing. And you'd know about it as a scout because you'd walk up to an area and then, oh, we already bought tickets. You're like, what do you mean you already? And you wouldn't think about two things about it because, okay, some other kid came around here and sold tickets. But then whenever the time came for the breakfast or whatever, people would show up and be like, where's my tickets? Like, the guy said I would get my tickets here. What? You were supposed to get your tickets when you paid for them. So anyway, like I say, it's not going to be like a organized crime and they bleed out a section of town or something, but there can definitely be opportunists that'll jump in when they know something's happening. But again, I don't think permits are going to stop them. So no, permits are basically just, some token way of moving money. I think, I'm assuming ideally to pay for whatever cost it is, right, to do the maintenance of whatever that segment is. But it's the problem with the bureaucracy. There's always different levels of management and verification or whatever it's called. So, you can add stuff or you can skew things and, well, this department needs a little bit more. So let us, you buy this for us and we'll buy that for you next quarter or something like that.
Yeah. How many people do we still have watching?
Just people that are pro-government and pro-taxes and pro-permitting. The pro-permit 7. Well, I started out being pretty tired and yawning all the time, and then I haven't even been drinking coffee. But we've kept it going pretty good. Nobody said anything since we had left in 41, so 6 minutes ago.
Yeah, been an interesting last couple nights. What was it we talked about last night? Oh, plants, and then tonight it was primarily left-handed people, then movies and lemonade stands.
Yeah, really nowhere today. Like I say, I've been kind of working on it. The problem is, I don't know. I'm not as much as I'd like to accomplish a bunch of things with the show. It's easier said than done. We'll see what kind of pace it gets into and who shows up for it. But I don't like pulling teeth, and I also don't have any interest in just shaking my fist at the sky or whatever and agreeing with a bunch of shit that everybody talked about earlier in the day. So ideally, we'll have a little bit of direction. I think I don't talk about it later, but like I say, I've been tooling around with a couple of things based off of 1,000 shows in. So I've done the show different ways in the past. So I'm trying to think of ways to schedule. I don't want to say like set it up, but also ways to implement it, if that makes sense, so that it can be best of both worlds or useful in different ways. But we'll see. What else do we got? Tomorrow is Free Patch Friday, so I got a couple of old books I'm throwing in there to see if anybody's interested in that. And it sounded like somebody had purchased something earlier, judging from the fact that it was at $20 even. I'm guessing it was a cartoon again. A couple of people that buy cartoons on the regular. Appreciate that. And let's see who the cartoon was. Greg Pruitt from Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. I'm trying to remember who that even is. So that's definitely one I have not done, I think. Idaho. Yeah, no, I don't think I've done that one. So one of these days I'm gonna have to get in and actually make a whole bunch of new ones. I was in looking at one of my projects the other day, and it was something I had built, I guess, before the crash, but the hard drive crash. But when I open the file, it references all kinds of files that are gone. So it's like effectively I have the structure and the pages, but I'm missing most of the guts. Anyway, so I was in looking at one of them, and well, totally lost where I was at. So I'm trying to talk and type and look at stuff here. But with that, I think we'll wrap it up. It's been almost 2 hours, and nobody's still saying anything out there. Yeah, now it's been 9 minutes. So with that, I guess we'll be back to pick you up later. Thanks for jumping in, Barbecue. Angelina was in here earlier, and Woods as well. So it's been cool to have some people in here. That's why I've been thinking about having some topics and stuff to chat about. Yeah, so we'll see.
Awesome.
Yeah, right on. Thanks again for jumping in. And that's not too bad. You know, we also got double cork today. Let's not forget about being double cork.
Yeah, it's because I'd almost be willing to bet that Honda and them are still playing video games because it's only been a couple hours.
I'm all in favor of having some sort of permitting system. So if they want to have one of these chats, it's fine, but they have to get some kind of a local permit first, and then maybe pay a tax. That's what I'd be for. Then they can have live chats.
What do they call that back in the day with the mob? When they would pay the Dawn money. I can't think of it. No, like you go say they went and robbed someplace, then they pay the Dawn, percentage as a, just like, hey, thank you type deal. I can't think of it though.
Like a cost of doing business in his area or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't think of it. It's not a donation, but like yep, I can see the word. I just can't think of it. So yeah,
go watch fellas and come up with it now.
That's right.
But that's what people do for you whenever they come back. Just keep a little gratuity.
I'll think of it as soon as we end the show. But if that definitely would tell us if there's anybody watching, because if they were watching, they would have answered it right there. Oh, I almost had it again. Why can't I think of it? It's a word you don't say that often. Dang, I can almost see it, but I can't think of it. All right. Well, with that, we'll be back.